Of 7 o'clock, welcome back to the Now Morning Show. Now, Arrive Alive has launched its first road safety campaign for 2023, and President of the organization, Sharon Inglefield, joins us this morning to tell us a little bit more about it. Sharon, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you this morning?
Okay, fine, thank you.
First time I'm seeing you for the new year. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, and thank you for having Arrive Alive on your show this morning.
Now, we are pretty familiar with the organization, but for some of our viewers who may not know about Arrive Alive, tell us about the organization. Also, tell us about the purpose of the organization.
Okay, so Arrive Alive is a non-governmental organization. We're funded mainly by private and public sector, private individuals, corporate TNT. This is where we get our funding from. We are involved in education and advocacy, also training, and our main vision for TNT is to ensure that our road users go to work, go to play, go to parties, and get home safely to their families. Less injuries, less fatalities, that is our vision.
Yeah. Now, I know that you have your first campaign for the Carnival season, which of course is very timely because we know what sort of driving and sort of things we see during the Carnival season. So tell us about it.
So we want to partner with media. We're hoping that media will fit us in, during your corporate social responsibility with a number of videos that we have now. We have a library of videos. And the target is our young males in particular, because our young males are they're the ones dying on our roads.
When you say young, how young?
Under 35 years old, because we are seeing the statistics continue with really the young males who are dying, who are being seriously injured. And therefore, these videos, this video campaign is targeted at our young males, international car racing drivers who are out there. We have Alex Powell, for instance, who is out there on a Mercedes-Benz track in Italy. He is talking to our nation with regards speeding on the track. If you want to race, get on the track, get involved in, car racing, but don't race on our nation's roads, because speed is the number one, problem we have. If you're going within the speed limit, if you're adapting your speed to road conditions, chances are very low you're going to get into a collision. However, if you're going faster, the impact, the energy of that collision causes the injury and the fatalities. So we have a number of who we consider to be young athletes, young role models, and we would like to invite more to join us. We don't know all the athletes, we don't know all the very good role models in the entertainment industry. We're happy for you to come on board, so this is an appeal to our athletes and to our entertainers. Come on board, talk to the nation. We are providing the cost of the videos and hoping that the media will air them for us.
Now, Sharon, is there also a cyclist attached to the project as well?
Yes, we have Akil,
right.
And he's been incredible. He has joined us. He's a cyclist, as everyone knows, and he's again appealing to all road users to respect cyclists and pedestrians who have not only a legal right to our roads, but they have a moral right to our roads. That's how they get to work, get to their families every single day. So we need to respect our vulnerable road users and remember that this is how they get to and from their place of work, their sport that they're involved in, their family.
Now, while motorists have to look out for the cyclists as well, because sometimes I know some of the roads have their cycling lanes, what can cyclists also do to ensure that they are visible on the roadways and that drivers can see them when they're traveling, when both of them are sharing the roads?
Okay, so we encourage all our cyclists, and number one, make sure you wear a safety helmet. Make sure that you're wearing bright clothing or white clothing, so in other words, not black.
Right.
Even the pedestrians, I was coming back last night from the airport. A lot of the pedestrians are still crossing our roadways at night in black. Very, very bad. It's very hard to see a pedestrian and a cyclist if they're wearing black clothing, particularly at night. So we encourage our pedestrians and our cyclists to wear bright color clothing, white clothing, fluorescent clothing. At night, make sure you have lights on your bike.
Yeah.
If you're a pedestrian and you have a backpack or a belt, clip on a light, because it's very, very hard to see a pedestrian crossing a main road. And a lot of our pedestrians are crossing main roads and highways, which are very, very dangerous. We appeal to our pedestrians, please use pedestrian crossings. Please do not cross the main roads and the highways at night. It is extremely dangerous, and we are still seeing a very high rate of pedestrian fatality in particular. So we encourage our pedestrians and cyclists to wear lights, bright clothing, the cyclists' safety helmets. Make sure that you're obeying the highway code, that you're stopping and looking right, left, and right again when you're at an intersection before you take off. Make sure you have support, because I think that's very important, that if a cyclist is injured, you have a support vehicle. Making sure that you partner with Arrive Alive so that we can get your message out there like Akil has. We're really appealing to our national cyclists to join this campaign.
Now, Sharon, as you're on the topic of cyclists, you spoke about support. So is it that it is not advised if you just wake up in the morning, because some people love to exercise early in the mornings. So is it that you should always have somebody when you're going out and cycling? You should always have at least a second cycler with you, or somebody who has a car who's trailing you? Or is it okay once you have your safety mechanisms in place, you can't go out there and cycle alone?
I think it's okay for an individual to go out there cycling once they're doing everything that they can to protect themselves, because ultimately we're responsible for our own safety. And bearing in mind that we have a lot of reckless drivers, a lot of drivers on the road who unfortunately do not respect life. And we have a lot of drivers out there who do not respect cyclists or pedestrians. So, we have to examine what our risks are when we're out there on the roads. Yeah. I think a pedestrian and a cyclist on the roads of TNT are very, very brave, but they are determined to have their voices heard. They're not going to be muzzled. They're certainly not going to stay home because they have had peers, they've had friends, they've had relatives
that they've
die
lost
on our roads.
Yeah.
As you can tell, they're not giving up. And the United Nations, the WHO, World Health Organization, are encouraging countries, governments, to change policies and plans to encourage more walking, more cycling, more running. Number one, it's better for our health, and we suffer with diabetes and heart disease in Trinidad and Tobago. So we need to make sure that our health is checked. So we want to encourage more exercise and more cycling and riding and walking and running. Yeah. So we need to protect our vulnerable road users with that policy and plan in place under the guidelines of the WHO, as well as the fact to reduce our carbon footprint. So in reducing our carbon footprint, we're talking about again encouraging the walking and the riding and exercise in general.
And sort of staying away from the cars.
Yes, exactly. So we need to change our transportation policy, our plan, to encourage and protect vulnerable road users with pedestrian crossings, with lanes, with laws.
But there are going to be drivers still. And so how can motorists themselves keep themselves safe while they are traversing the roadways?
So in other words, all drivers need to look out for cyclists and pedestrians. We know that they're out there. As I said, I was coming back from the airport last night, and there were a number of pedestrians wearing black crossing the roads. Drivers have to be aware that this will continue. And although I don't agree with pedestrians crossing our main roads and highways, particularly at night, they're out there. Yeah. Do you want to be the driver? It's a fear that I have personally.
Yes.
Do we want to be a driver that hurts a pedestrian, that kills a pedestrian? Is that something we want to live with for the rest of our life? We cannot become numb to death, to pain. And we really need to take stock of who we really are as a nation.
Yeah.
Because as we all know, the crime is just out of hand. The road crime is also out of hand. Although we've had a decrease of over 50% in the last 10 years, and I know the Minister of Works and Transport has said, and it is a fact, it's supported by the data, that we had the lowest number of fatalities in 2018 for almost 58 years.
Wow, okay.
That is a great thing to celebrate, a great achievement to celebrate. However, we have a long way to go. Every life lost is one too many. Yeah. And as a nation, we really have to take stock of who we are, and do we want to continue the crime? I'm talking about road crime right back to crime in general.
But Sharon, what we also see as well is that road crime increasing during the carnival season. We see people driving under the influence. We see people who are not wearing their seatbelts. We see people who, for example, their lights are dim. They need to change their lights and stuff like that. How is Road Alive trying to assist almost with trying to keep that sort of crime violence down or on the decrease?
All right, so Arrive Alive, what we talk about is journey management, and journey management means plan ahead of time. So before you even leave home, if you know you're going to have a hectic day, again, it's all about health and safety. Wake up early. Have a good breakfast, do your exercise, whether it be riding, whether it be exercise at home, whether it be exercise in a gym. Wake up early, plan your day mentally. I have my notepad. Road safety is no accident.
Yes.
So ensure that we write down everything. We make notes. We know what time to leave our home to get our destination safely so that we're not breaking the speed limit. Our ministry is trying their best now to repair our roads. We've seen a difference in the last few weeks of our roads being repaired. Make sure we know what roads we're traveling in, and if they're in very bad condition, and some of our roads are in extremely poor condition. Maruga. We were at a school in Maruga, and the roads are really bad in Maruga right now. Make sure that we are planning our day based on the road conditions as well.
Now, this is during the day. So
Yes.
what about at the night time? Because I know sometimes, I would be leaving a fete and I would see Arrive Alive. So then how do you go in the fete? What is your purpose of attending those fetes to ensure that people get home safely?
So, all right, again, we're talking about Carnival. We're talking about sober zones. Arrive Alive is invited, hopefully, by a lot of the party organizers. So again, this is an appeal to the party organizers. We do ask for donations, so I'm being very transparent with regards that. The survival of Arrive Alive is based on donations. So we do ask the party organizers to provide us with a donation. We come with 3 or 4 volunteers. We give out our literature, which our literature is based on educating our public, our driving public in particular, on the demerit point system, which is a deterrent to ensure that we do not break the law. And in educating our drivers, we're hoping that they will obey the law and they will understand that if you break the law, you're gonna achieve points and fines. There's enforcement. So we educate you, and then we support the TTPS in their mission to save lives on the roads with roadblocks, with speed guns, with the breathalyzer. So we're out there with breathalyzers at these sober zones. We're giving out our literature, and we're breathalyzing the patrons at the parties. So corporate TNT engages
if, for example, you use the breathalyzer on somebody and they realize that they are over the limit, what then does the organization do?
So the organization at the party, at the event, will encourage that patron to go back into the party. The only thing that makes a difference is time. So the legal limit is 35 micrograms to 100 milliliters of breath. If you're over the 35, and we're seeing a lot of women in particular at the Christmas sober zones, I don't know how they're even walking. These women who are tiny in frame, not necessarily the fittest, because of course we're questioning them while we're breathalyzing them, are reading 100. I mean, that is crazy. You're talking about someone who, is really
inebriated.
Yes, of course. And so it's scary for us to see that data. But we're out there breathalyzing. We encourage you to go back into the party, to talk to a friend, to call a friend to come to you. We offer to call family members to pick you up from the party, designate a sober driver, call a taxi, go and have something to eat. Again, part of journey management is eating properly. If you know you're going to be out there partying and drinking, eating properly, protein in particular. If you've done biology at school, very important to eat prior to drinking. If you're drinking and then eating and drinking on an empty stomach, you're going to be extremely impaired.
Yeah. Now, Sharon, we're almost out of time, but I know that the organization also works with schools. So tell us a bit about that before we close.
So we're out at approximately, I would say, 2 to 3 schools a week. And this is from UE, UTT, right back to primary schools teaching about road safety. So years ago, we partnered with the Ministry of Education, and we go and give presentations from pedestrian road safety to the toddlers, turning right, looking right, left, right again before you cross the road, wearing something bright, all the tips with regards pedestrian road safety, cyclist road safety, because we have a lot of teachers who take taxi, wearing seatbelts in front and back. It might not be the law, but it's to protect you and your children, making sure your children are in a car seat. If we're talking to the secondary school and the tertiary pupils, we're talking about DUI, we're talking about the merit point system. We're just talking about road user responsible behavior. In the schools, we're out there, so the schools are welcome to call us. We have a website, we have a Facebook page, we're on Instagram, we're advertising all the time. So make sure you contact us, especially at this time of the year when we see an increase in speed, an increase in recklessness on the roads. We really want, TNT to be safe.
Now, Sharon, quickly just share the phone numbers and also the Instagram handles, Facebook handles, so people can contact the organization.
Okay, so that's a hard question. Our telephone number at the office is 675-LIVE.
Right.
If you want the handles, I'm afraid you're going to have to
maybe just
us.
type in Arrival Live.
Type in Arrival
and it may
Live.
pop up.
Should show up.
Yes.
We should show up both the website, Facebook, and Instagram handles.
Nice.
Sorry about that.
That's okay, Sharon. Thank you so much for coming in and sharing about it, especially again during the carnival season where we see those DUIs and of course we see the accidents on the roadway. So thank you so much, and keep up the good work that you're doing at the organization.
Thank you.
And that was Miss Sharon Inglefield, the president of the Arrive Alive organization, just sharing some tips on how you can remain safe on the roadways this carnival season. You're on the Now Morning Show. We're going to take a break and be right back. Stay with us.